Knox County, Tennessee, March 13th, 2003. The morning began quietly in the hills just outside Knoxville. The Leaf home sat back from the road, a brick house surrounded by bare trees, still waiting for spring. Inside, the routine of the day was about to unfold, but before long, that quiet would give way to events that no one in the community could have imagined. That Thursday was meant to be ordinary. Neighbors went about their routines, and the small community just outside Knoxville stirred to life as usual. At the Leith residence, however, the day began with a series of moments that would soon draw the attention of investigators, reporters, and eventually an entire courtroom. It all began with a phone call. What followed would raise more questions than answers.
County 911.
Help me! Help me!
Ma'am, where are you?
Please help me!
Ma'am, what's going on? Ma'am.
My husband's hurt himself. Hurry!
Okay, where is your husband? Where's your...
He's in the bed. Please hurry!
Okay, ma'am, I need you to calm down so I can get some help to you, okay? Ma'am.
The woman who made that call was Riella Lee. Riella Dossett Leith was born Raynella Large on October 25, 1948 in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, a small town nestled in the Smoky Mountains. She grew up in Oak Ridge, a city shaped by its role in the Manhattan Project, where her father, Dewey Ernest Large, worked as a nuclear scientist. Her mother, Annie Irene, ran the household, instilling in Riella a sense of discipline and determination. From a young age, Riella displayed ambition and resilience. She graduated from Oakage High School in 1966 and went on to study at East Tennessee State University, where she joined the rifle team. She trained to become a registered nurse, pursuing a career that promised both respect and independence within her tight-knit Tennessee community. Growing up in the Appalachian Hills, Riella learned early how to navigate both the challenges of the natural world and the social complexities of a small town, skills that would later shape the remarkable and controversial life she led. People from school remembered her as kind and capable, though some said she could be fiercely determined if crossed. During her university years, she met William Edward Dossett, known as Ed. According to those who knew them, it was love at first sight. Riella was confident in relationships. In 1970, she and Ed married. After their wedding, the couple moved to a sprawling 165-acre farm west of Knoxville, where they raised cattle and built a life rooted in both the rhythms of rural Tennessee and the demands of their professional careers. Riella as a nurse and Ed as Knox County's District Attorney General. Financially, the couple was well off, and their situation improved over time. Over the years, Riella and Ed had 3 children. Maggie, their eldest, followed by Eddie Jr., and finally Katie. Together, they managed the challenges of farm life while balancing demanding careers, creating the appearance of a happy, close-knit family. Riella had a strong bond with her children. Both were deeply embedded in the community, though in different ways. Ed Doss's role as District Attorney General made him a prominent figure in local politics and law enforcement. Riella pursued a career in healthcare, eventually becoming Director of Nursing at Park West Medical Center, a position that earned her professional respect and influence. Socially, the couple was active, hosting gatherings at their farm, participating in local events, and maintaining connections across Knoxville's civic and professional circles. To outsiders, they seemed the embodiment of a successful, respected couple. Friends described their marriage as harmonious and happy. No one had heard of any problems in their family until 1991. In 1991, Ed was diagnosed with late-stage cancer. The prognosis was grim, and the family faced the devastating news with heavy hearts. As a nurse, Riella understood the severity of the situation and dedicated herself to caring for her husband, ensuring he was as comfortable as possible. Their family life continued under this shadow until July 9th, 1992, when Ed was found in the farm's corral. According to Raynella, he had gone to feed the cattle after a sudden surge of energy. But something startled the animals, and they charged. Weak from illness and medication, Ed was unable to escape in time and was trampled by the family's cattle. Riella claimed she did not witness the accident, but discovered him in the corral after it happened. She quickly called emergency services, but it was too late to save him. Initially, no further investigation was conducted, and Ed's death was classified as an accident. Following Ed's death, the insurance company conducted an independent review due to a double indemnity clause in his life insurance policy, which would have paid out more if the death was accidental. However, the official ruling made by a medical examiner, who was reportedly a friend of Ed, confirmed the death as an accident, and for the community, the matter seemed settled. Riella received the life insurance payout, and 6 months later, to the surprise of many, she remarried. Her new husband was David Leith, a local barber and longtime friend and neighbour of the Dossets. David had a daughter from a previous marriage and was known for being hard-working and involved in the community. Raynella and David's relationship reportedly began after Ed's death. The couple appeared very much in love, dining out frequently and exchanging gifts. David built a greenhouse on Riella's farm and moved in with her, even constructing a horse trailer. Despite the quick remarriage, most people believed they were a well-matched couple. David's daughter Cindy grew fond of Riella, and Riella's children had long known and liked David. However, tragedy struck again in 1994. On December 15th, Riella was in a car with her eldest daughter, 15-year-old Maggie, and her 11-year-old son, Eddie Jr. Maggie was driving when they were involved in a crash on a rural Tennessee road. Eddie Jr. did not survive. The accident changed everything. Riella and David grew distant, their communication dwindling. Riella struggled to cope with her grief and the complex emotions that followed. Years after Ed Doss's death, a new chapter began to stir in the quiet community. Steve Walker and his wife Kay were ordinary residents of Knoxville, but their lives became entangled with Riella's in an unexpected way. Kay had once been involved with Ed, and that secret had produced a child. Steve, only learning the truth during a bitter divorce, found himself caught in a storm of betrayal and anger. Little did he know this revelation would lead him straight to Riella's farm, where tension and confrontation were about to erupt. Reportedly, Riella had no knowledge of the affair or the child. In May 1995, Steve Walker went to Riella's farm to confront her about the affair his wife had with Ed Dossett and the child from that relationship. According to Steve, Riella pulled a revolver and fired several shots at him. He claimed he fell to the ground while she allegedly stood over him, threatening him. The gun eventually ran out of ammunition, and Steve managed to escape unharmed. It was reported that Riella threatened to kill both Steve and his wife, vowing to raise Ed's child herself. Clearly, after the death of her son, Riella was in a very fragile mental state. Riella's account differed. She said that Steve was acting erratically near Ed's grave, and she only fired warning shots to scare him away. She claimed he had grabbed the gun from her and fled. Police tended to side with Steve's version of events, and Riella was arrested and charged with attempted murder. She eventually pleaded guilty to a lesser charge of assault, receiving 6 years probation, and her criminal record was later expugned. Reportedly, the mental state of her second husband, David Leith, was also deteriorating. David often appeared sad or irritable. By 2002, at 57 years old, he had been diagnosed with early dementia, a condition that began to affect his behavior and mental state. Friends and family noticed subtle changes in his mood, adding tension to his marriage with Riella. In early 2003, Riella documented in her private journal that David's behavior had become increasingly erratic and controlling. On January 19th, she wrote, "Dave, hateful today. I cried and cried." 3 days later, she noted, "Dave, hateful, controlling. His way or no way, I cried." Despite these concerns, David reportedly appeared in generally good health and did not show signs of being suicidal or upset. On the morning of March 13th, 2003, Riella walked quietly down the hallway of their Knoxville home. She later recalled pushing open the bedroom door and stopping in shock. David was lying still on the bed, a gun nearby, a wound to his head. In her account, it looked as though he had taken his own life. She called 911, but it was too late to save him. Riella claimed that David had long been in poor mental health. However, the medical examiner disagreed. The investigation revealed that 3 shots had been fired, but David had died instantly after the second shot. This raised the question, who fired the third shot if not David? Only Riella had been in the house that morning and had found him, making her the prime suspect. Investigators also noted that the gun was found in David's right hand, despite him being left-handed. Tests revealed a combination of drugs in his system, medications typically used during surgery, to which Riella, a nurse, had access. Curiously, David had apparently written a will leaving everything to Riella, bypassing his daughter Cindy. Cindy, who worked as a hairdresser and had a close relationship with her father, disputed the will, citing concerns over David's dementia. The investigation into Riella took years. In 2006, authorities re-examined the death of her first husband, Ed. They found high doses of morphine in his system, and further analysis suggested that his injuries from the cattle were not severe enough to have caused his death, indicating the true cause had been the drugs administered. Suspicion naturally fell on Raynella. In 2006, she was officially charged with murdering Ed Doss, and 2 years later with the murder of David Liu. In May 2009, Riella went to trial for David's murder. She maintained that his death had been a suicide. After hours of deliberation, the jury could not reach a verdict, and the judge declared a hung jury. Her retrial began in January 2010. The prosecutor opened by playing Riella's 911 call, then explained why David's death was murder rather than suicide. 3 shots were fired, and the second killed David instantly, while he was also drugged with a combination similar to that used in surgery. Riella's defense did not argue that David had been murdered, but claimed she had an alibi. After deliberation, the jury had still not reached a unanimous verdict. However, on January 25, 2010, Riella Dossett Leith was convicted of first-degree murder and automatically sentenced to 51 years to life in prison. Immediately afterward, charges relating to Ed's death were dropped. In 2011, a Knox County Circuit Court judge ruled that Riella, as David's murderer, was barred from inheriting any part of his estate. The court determined that his daughter was entitled to inherit all of David's property and half of the jointly owned assets. Riella appealed, citing judicial misconduct and referencing high-profile overturned convictions. In May 2016, she was released while awaiting a retrial set for January 2017. During the retrial, Special Judge Paul Summers reviewed all the evidence and concluded that there was insufficient evidence to prove Riella was responsible for David's death, and the jury was not allowed to decide. This effectively ended the case against her. As of now, Riella Lee is a free woman and is not serving a prison sentence. The case of Riella Leith remains a story marked by tragedy, mystery, and unanswered questions. Behind the headlines were real lives forever changed, the deaths of Ed Dossett and David Leith, and the shadow it cast over their children. Though their lives were marked by sorrow, their memories live on in the hearts of those who loved them. For Riella's children and all the family, the pain of loss endures, but so too does the echo of the love and moments they shared. And what do you think about this case? Please let me know in the comments. Thank you for listening to this story. Stay tuned for the next chapter and take